Global food prices are being driven up by Russia's latest war tactic in Ukraine. Moscow is bombing dozens of ports across the country, including an export hub just a few kilometres from NATO territory. Our Europe correspondent John Paul Gonzo has more.
A fisherman films in awe as tens of thousands of tonnes of food goes up in flames. The inferno at a port in the southern Ukrainian city of Odessa was sparked by a Russian drone attack. The damage was widespread. Crucial services, including a grain elevator and transport facilities, were ruined, and 40,000 tonnes of grain bound for China, Israel and African countries was destroyed, sending global food prices soaring. Moscow is waging a battle for a global catastrophe. These insane people want the world's food market to collapse, President Zelensky declared. Last month, Russia pulled out of the grain export deal brokered by Turkey and the UN that saw the safe passage of ships through the Black Sea. Since then, Kyiv claims Moscow has attacked almost 30 port facilities, from essential infrastructure to residential areas. Russian strikes spread across the country. 2 people were injured in Kherson and homes were shattered by shelling, while in the capital Kyiv, apartments were damaged from the debris of intercepted drones. This 93-year-old shows how close he came to being hit. Ukraine's air defence system is working, but residents are on edge. They know Russian drones can still slip through the net with devastating consequences. John Paul Gonzo for 10 News First, London.
A courtroom in Pittsburgh has erupted in tears of relief after the man who attacked the Tree of Life synagogue in 2018 was sentenced to death. Robert Bowers burst into the temple armed with an AR-15 rifle and opened fire, killing 11 worshippers and injuring 7 others. He has a history of making anti-Semitic comments online and, according to the prosecution, remains proud of his attack.
Anti-Semitism and hate have no place in our hearts, no place in our communities, no place in our country.
For the final verdict in this case, I feel relief.
But there will be little satisfaction for the survivors and families of those killed. Death penalty cases are granted an automatic appeal, and this could be tied up in the courts for years. The FBI says it has arrested a man after a woman he kidnapped and abused broke out of a concrete block cell and flagged down passing motorists to call the police. It's also been revealed the man who is in custody posed as an undercover police officer to gain the woman's trust. He then took her captive and drove her hundreds of kilometres to his home in Oregon and locked her in a cell he had built in his garage.
The woman fought for her life, beating the doors and the walls of this cell with bloodied hands. Through her perseverance, she broke free and waved down a passing motorist, asking for their help to call 911.
Agents are now looking for additional victims after linking him to sexual assault in at least 4 other states. New York is considering housing migrants in makeshift shelters in Central Park if the Biden administration fails to help the city deal with the ballooning crisis. Thousands of mostly men are sleeping on the streets outside migrant centres. They were bussed in from Texas, where the hardline Republican governor refuses to help them.
We're going to keep on doing what we've been doing, providing food, providing shelter, providing blankets, enrolling children in school, providing legal services, engaging in partners, having a faith-based strategy, all of the things that we've been doing.
But the system is clearly strained, with up to 500 people arriving in the Big Apple every day. The Pope appears to have lost patience with his clergy and scolded the Catholic Church over its handling of sex abuse victims. While speaking at a service in Portugal, Francis said that the Church needed a humble and ongoing purification to deal with the anguished cries of the victims. His call comes just after a report was released showing almost 5,000 children have been abused by Portuguese clergy in the last 70 years. Francis also met with abuse survivors in what the Vatican called an atmosphere of intense listening. Thousands of specialist rescuers have been sent to northern China as trapped residents try to escape their waterlogged homes and cities. Days of heavy rains and flooding have left tens of thousands of people stranded across Hebei province. For many, the situation is dire, with dwindling supplies and no clean drinking water, making their rescue vital. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife Sophie have announced they are separating after 18 years of marriage. The couple married in 2005 and have 3 children aged 15, 14 and 9. They announced the news simultaneously on their Instagram pages, asking for the public to respect their privacy for the well-being of their children.